music.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Strange Music Podcast Interviews. My name is Victor Sandoval, and I'll be your host for today. I'm excited to kick things off today because we actually have one of the most recognized acts in the underground joining us today. Of course, I'm talking about Kung Fu Vampire. Now, if you were able to catch our live interview yesterday with Potluck, then you know Kung Fu Vampire joined us for a brief minute, but today he is here to talk about the Underground Rebels Tour. It's currently underway and is one of the biggest underground tours this summer, and of course features Potluck, Kung Fu Vampire, DGAF, and DRP. If you have an opportunity to catch this tour near you, make sure you don't miss out. As a matter of fact, you can check out KungFuVampire.com for all the dates and information. We're also going to talk to Kung Fu Vampire about his relationship with Strange Music and Tech 9, as well as his appearance in E40's Zombie music video, which also featured Tech and Brotha Lynch hung. If a lot of you guys caught that video from E40, then you know Kung Fu Vampire popped up in there, you know what I'm saying? He's doing the cameo, and we're going to talk to him about that today. And last but not least, we definitely have to ask Kung Fu Vampire about his Love Bites album, so we'll be getting a lot done today and ask him a lot of questions. We're going to let you guys talk to him. Please call us at 347-994-3066 and press 1 if you would like to speak with Kung Fu Vampire. Now, before we get on the line with Kung Fu Vampire, I do want to remind our listeners that time is running out for you to pre-order Stevie Stone's Strange Music debut, Rollin' Stone. That's right, Stevie Stone's first release with Strange Music is almost here, and if you pre-order now at strangemusicinc.net, you'll get the full Rollin' Stone experience with an autographed copy of the album, an exclusive t-shirt, a full-color sticker, and a bonus free download of In the Game. That track is not available anywhere else, so that's the only place you can get it. Make sure you grab that. Be sure to get that album. It's got a lot of big features on it. Tech 9, Chris Calico, Yellow Wolf, Hobson, and more. What more could you ask for? Now, Kung Fu Vampire is set to join us on the line just in a minute. Actually, I think he might be with us now. Kung Fu.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, man? How are you today?
I'm good, man. Just on the bus, moving.
Cool, man. Well, first of all, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no doubt. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Very excited to have you on. And there's just so many things to talk about. I guess, you know, you were with us yesterday. You joined us for a brief second. We have you for the whole podcast today. And I guess we have to talk about the Underground Rebels Tour because it's a very big deal. I do want to make sure we talk about it. You guys are going all across the country on this tour. What does this tour mean to the Underground?
Man, I mean, let's put it this way, bro. I've been on 5 bar tops on this tour. I have been live performing from bars, like jumping from the stage to the bar. We've mingled with fans for hours at every show, you know what I mean, puffed different types of herbs in different cities, and it's just been crazy, man. I mean, this is the kind of tour that builds relationships and brings people close to the music, you know what I mean, and close to the artist, not just something they hear on the radio, but something they can touch, feel, taste, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. You know, that lineup on the tour, it seems like such a mixture, and it's just right for madness, really. I mean, I look at the lineup, and you got Kung Fu Vampire, Potluck, DGAF, the DRP. I mean, it just must be crazy out there.
Yeah, the DGAF guys are super funny. I mean, we've already got all kinds of comical things going on this tour, and everybody gets along really good, you know, and Potluck's great, bro. I mean, they just, you know, they bring out a different type of fan than me, you know what I mean? Like, my fans can appreciate Potluck's music, and Potluck's fans can appreciate mine, and, you know, being that my stuff tends to be darker, I'm actually doing a lot more funky and happier joints off the up-and-coming album. I've been debuting them on this tour, and so it really crosses over to where, you know, anybody who likes Potluck is pretty much undeniably has to shake their ass to some Kung Fu Vampire, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, from speaking with Potluck yesterday, it seemed like the Underground Rebels Tour was just such this big beacon for the Underground. And I wanted to ask you, is there still an anti-mainstream sentiment in 2012? I mean, is the Underground still the base for a revolution of sorts?
You know, one thing, by the time we're done with this interview, I think you and most people will probably realize that their impression of me is a lot different than what they thought it was. I'm not really one of those people that's anti-mainstream. I'm not anti-anything, you know. I'm pro certain things, you know what I mean? There's always been people who snuck into the mainstream that I've liked, and I actually have never really, like, I don't turn on the radio, I don't buy mainstream records, but because I do go to nightclubs and do party and do different things, I end up hearing mainstream music occasionally. And, it's like anything else, man. Like true underground, people say, oh, true underground, true underground. I hear so many underground CDs all the time that are garbage. People hand me those CDs all the time, and I actually do listen to them, And some of them are good, some of them are okay, and some are absolute garbage. And I think the same thing goes for the mainstream. The only difference is the underground provides art to people. You can get exactly what you want. The mainstream, you're fed what maybe somebody in their 50s, 60s, white dude, it doesn't matter color, but somebody who's detached from the street music that they're trying to pump out to people, you're basically forced to listen to what they want you to hear. So, I'm not anti, but I know that this tour is a grassroots tour, being that it's called Underground Rebels. I think we're all kind of rebellious type people. But myself, man, I'm just pro things. I'm never anti anything like a lot of people are.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can respect that. I think it all just comes down to good music is good music, no matter what it is.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
And I did want to ask you, what has the reception been like to your performance so far? Because I remember you making it a point to say that this was the first time you've been out without your band.
Yeah, I did one tour, the very first national tour I did that was really big. I had done a couple before this, was the Slaughterhouse tour with Twisted, and I just had a hype man, and that was the first time I had ever done that, anything without my band. This is the first time I've ever done anything alone, so this is really different, And on that tour I did have the band for seven of the 47 dates or whatever, but it's tough, man, because I've always, since I started making music, wanted to do something different. That's why I'm different. That's why my name is different. My look is different. I have a very unique everything that I do, whether people want to believe it or not. I came into this thing not even knowing what Juggalo music is, what Tech Nine is, what horrorcore is. I didn't know what any of that was. When I started making hip-hop, my influence was industrial music. For anybody out there who knows what industrial music is, if you don't know what it is, it's kind of like electronica metal, from the 80s, I guess you would say. So I have this industrial influence, this electronic influence, and this classic hip-hop influence. We're talking Houdini, Kool Moe Dee, of course, NWA, and then when I started making hip-hop music, it was in 1990, and I wanted my music to sound nothing like metal. I didn't want it to sound like a typical boom bap, what we called back then, we called it new school, but really it's just East Coast flavor, where they were real lyrical. I wanted it to have a live band feel, but be hip-hop music, sound like hip-hop, not sound like a band, not sound like metal or rock or anything like that. So I've never done like the rock rap thing or anything like that. I've never really had guitars in our music. There was a small era where we had it. But, on the subject of where my music came from, it's always just been a big deal to bring the band. So that makes this being by myself harder, but I'm debuting new music, I'm having fun, and my set is extremely lyrical, extremely lung-oriented. I don't have any backing tracks on my music. So when you see me up there, I'm doing 25 minutes of pure rapid-fire emceeing, and I don't think there's one person who's been to one show yet who hasn't left there going, Jesus Christ, Kung Fu Vampire just killed it. Because I'm personal, you know what I mean? And I'm personal. My music is very well thought out. I don't just get beats from people and rap to them. And I sing on choruses. It's all over the place. So being by myself has been tough, but I'm actually having a lot of fun, and I'm learning a lot, and the crowds are loving it. I'm jumping on bar stools and bar tops and drinking, and it's fun, man. It's fun.
Cool, man. It sounds fun. How else to put it? And it's really impressive that you're out there doing it on your own. I remember we had Ritz from Yellow Wolf's label actually on the podcast one time, and we spoke on what it was like to perform without a hype man. He's another guy who spits really rapid fire things, and he was telling me how hard it can be at times to really deliver that flawlessly on stage.
I just got introduced to Ritz on this tour, by the way. He's amazing. They've been bumping it on the bus. We're all fans of Ritz now. I just heard of him.
Oh, great!
And he's really dope, man. Yeah, it's hard, man. You know, like I've been making sure my cardio's up on this tour, not puffing as much as I'd like to, and just making sure I'm hydrated because I'm trying to give fans 100%. You know, I'm not a stupid person. You know what I mean? I have a lot of self-awareness. I realize most people, when they hear the name Kung Fu Vampire, I'm thinking 70% of them go, holy crap, that's a dope-ass name, I got to check it out. And there's 30% who go, oh, my God, what is this? That's just ridiculous. And, you know, there's people with mixed feelings about it. And I think until they see me and see how I come and what I bring, until you come and stand in front of me in front of the stage, I recommend that you don't hate or form an opinion. And that's my true recommendation, man, because it's just something that came from no influence of anything from the popular underground labels, any of these artists. My music did not come from that. So it's a unique mixture of its own thing. You know what I mean? And, yeah, there's hints of rapid-fire lyrics that you would see from somebody like Tech or Lynch or whoever out there spitting that kind of thing. And there's hints of East Coast and West Coast. I'm from the Bay Area. So, you know, man, it's crazy, bro. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. And I know a lot of your fans would be right there with you with what you're saying. And you know, you mentioned that you do have a band, and one of the things that I've noticed is that sometimes bands who place themselves in, I don't want to say they place themselves in the hip hop genre, but they start playing around with the hip hop genre. They sometimes have a hard time with new listeners. I know Burns from Mayday recently said in an interview that it can be really hard when you're in a band and you're trying to win over critics and fans and things like that, because the first thing they see is, oh, it's a band and all they do hip-hop. Well, we don't really like that. How difficult is it to win people over, and have you really had a hard time with that your entire career? Or?
Well, I mean, you could write a full-blown novel, a book, I should say, about my career, how different it is from most people's, in that I come from an area where not only is it really tough to break out of my city. I'm from San Jose, California. If you guys don't know where that is, it's in Northern California. It's 30 minutes from the ocean. It's 30 minutes north of Santa Cruz, California. It's 40 minutes south of Oakland, 40 minutes south of San Francisco. I'm in the heart of it all. You know what I mean? When I go to a nightclub, I walk in and E40's there, Too Short's there regularly. That's like a regular thing. Places I go, those are the kind of people I'm going to see. Digital Underground, Rappin' Forte, Drew Down. They're in my city. You know what I mean? But this city is different. It's like a mini Hollywood, man. They've seen it all. They're unimpressed. They're picky. They're assholes. There's no like Kansas City, man. Like, that's a great harvesting ground for horrorcore. And everybody has an opinion about Tech Nine. You can't even mention Tech Nine without someone having some strong opinion. But Tech Nine is a horror rapper. He came from that. It doesn't matter. People could argue, no, he's this, he's that. He's all kinds of styles. But he does dark hip-hop, period. I think we can all agree on that. And that kind of music, dark anything, is not normal where I'm from. Where I'm from, it's all top 40. It's heavily populated with Mexicans, so Mexican music, literally like banda and ranchero, and you know what I mean, like
right.
That kind of thing. There is no scene. There's no Detroit scene, man. Like, Detroit scene is sick. You go to Detroit, Wisconsin, Kansas City, there's plenty of dope scenes where you can go see some horror, some real underground crazy hip hop, some choppers. You know what I mean? There's nothing like that from my city. And so back to the band thing. It took me, I started in 91. I started getting serious, and Kung Fu Vampire started in like 99, 2000. We started getting a draw because we would call friends and family and everybody to come support us, man. I took it to the next level. I worked hard. And as far as outsiders out of our circle and people who weren't brought in, like a culty kind of thing, like a real underground thing, nobody was supporting Kung Fu Vampire in my city. Now, I can draw a lot in my city, but you could ask somebody in their 30s, 20s, have you heard of Kung Fu Vampire? They'd say no, in my own city. And I'm the biggest drawing act from my city, period, hands down, period. There's not another act that draws as much as me. There's dudes that are doing things that I love. You know what I mean? There's some battle rappers from my town. They're super talented people. They're not getting support. People People aren't checking them out. It's a real weird rat race city. So I feel like I've been ripped off by by where I was born, because if I was in Detroit or Kansas City, you would have been hearing about me 15 years ago. You know what I mean? People would have been coming to my concerts 15 years ago. I would have already made an album with cats like Tech-9. We would have already worked together. But because of where I'm from, I was getting, not rejected, but just nobody was taking me further than my state, my city, my state. You know what I mean? It was like having this band and this weird electro, hip-hop, dark, crazy live band thing. It was a real hodgepodge of styles. So it's been real tough, man. To answer your question, it's been real tough having a band. And then by the time I got out on that Twisted tour, both with or without the band, it was very well received because my band is undeniable. And the band at that time had 8 people in it. We're talking cello, violin, keyboards, drums, opera singer, hype man, bassist, keyboardist. I mean, this was a huge band. It was undeniable. So it's probably good being this crazy band that we didn't get notoriety until recently, because that's when it was ready. You know what I mean? Now it's ready. We kill it. I don't care if you say there's people out there listening right now that I don't like Kung Fu Vampire. You know what? Then you haven't been in the front row of my concert. I'm telling you right now, you haven't been to a Kung Fu Vampire concert if you say you don't like me, because that's just a fact. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not one of those rappers that says I'm dope, I'm this, I'm that. I put on a great live performance, man. I put my inner soul, my heart, I put my everything into it, and it shows.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I know these fans specifically can appreciate that and can appreciate where you're coming from with that. And, you know, it seems like a lot of other rappers will share the same sentiment as you as far as it goes as not being recognized within their own city. I know that can happen a lot. I know in markets like Chicago, that's another big one where a lot of people say that. But where you're coming from, you know, I could see where that's totally happening. One thing I did want to ask you is, you know, you're out on this tour. You're seeing everything. What are some of your favorite cities to hit while you're on tour? Because I know this isn't your first tour, so you must have your favorites.
This is, just so everybody knows, man, I never toured until 2009. I've been on 7 tours in the last 26 months. So in 7 national tours since February of 2010. This is the 7th tour. And wow. You know what? There is I'm going to say this. I like what every city brings me. I'm very multicultural as a person, inside and out. You know, there's cities where I've done the most merch. There's cities where there's the hottest women. There's cities where there's the most respectful people. There's cities that have the greatest view or the nicest weather. But, you know, if I have to break it down, man, like, we're headed into the area that's got me the most excited right now. I'm laying in my bunk in the back right now. I'm looking out the window, and I'm seeing these huge trees and waterfalls and all kinds of shit. We're on our way to Seattle. So, you know, Portland, Spokane, Seattle, those are 3 of my favorites. Atlanta, Georgia was great because of the fans. The fans in Atlanta are amazing. I've only been to Norfolk, Virginia once, believe it or not, and they showed me so much love, bro. Like, I did the most merch out there and just got the most love. The mosh pit was deadly. The ambulance came twice for my mosh pit. People had to get pulled out of it and went straight to the hospital. I mean, this is, like, intense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and big shout out to the Northwest as well.
Yeah, man. Like, and then the one that I feel like has shown me the most support, like has all around embraced me, is Salt Lake City. They have embraced me as their own. Like, I always call that my second home, because that place has just embraced me like crazy, man. I've played there the most outside of my own city of San Jose.
Okay, yeah, there seems to be something about Salt Lake that makes it such a great place for hip hop performers. I know that's one of Tech's biggest markets as well, and I know a lot of other MCs like to travel there.
Definitely. I think maybe it could be a revoltist thing with the Mormon culture there. I have no idea. Please, nobody get mad at me for saying that, but that's just kind of maybe the vibe. I mean, they're just, with what we do, you know, the technicians, the juggalos, the sub-noise fans, the underground fans, the horrorcore fans, they're just deep in Salt Lake City. Just like they're deep in Wisconsin, they're deep in Detroit, they're deep in Denver. you know, and they're deep in Worcester, Massachusetts. You know, those are the markets I think that are really deep in following guys like myself, Tech, and the Cottonmouth Kings and Twisted and stuff.
Yeah, totally, and all great markets, absolutely. You always see it on online. You know, and you mentioned that you have a very strong connection to the Juggalo scene because of a lot of the individuals that you've worked with. And I know that's not necessarily the easiest thing to win over the Juggalos because they can decide pretty quickly if they like you or not. What has your experience been like with that whole scene?
Well, again, this goes back to how great my story is. I never knew what a Juggalo was until 2000. I can tell you the date when I first heard the word Juggalo. This is a story that I think will just blast people's minds. Okay, it was January 14th, 2004. I was playing a show with Two Live Crew and Bushwick Bill, of all people, kind of crazy, in my hometown of San Jose. Okay, I got off stage. Now, mind you, my band at the time was a 45-year-old black guy on bass who looked like he's supposed to be in the Gap Band or in Earth, Wind, and Fire. A beautiful French black girl singing with a French accent, a cello player, and a drummer, okay? Now, if I tell you that, the last thing you think in your mind is Juggalo. I mean, wouldn't you say? I mean, right. That's pretty much like, wow, I don't know what that is, but that's definitely not Juggalo. So I'm up there doing my thing, rapping, doing this crazy dark rap with this live band, super tight, man, great show. I get off stage, I'm sitting at the merch booth, and this 6'4" big-ass dude comes up to me. And now that I know back, I didn't know what it was at the time. He did have a hatchet man around his neck. He did not look like what someone would say a normal Juggalo looks like. And that's, again, one thing I love about Juggalos is they don't all look a certain way. They're not all white. They're not all black. They're not all this. This dude was a tall Mexican guy. You know what I mean? He looked like he was from San Jose. He had the hatchet man around his neck. He came up to me with his fist out and said, Juggalo, man, Juggalo, I know what's up, and pounded my fist. And I literally looked at my bass player and went, what is he talking about? Did he mean gigolo? You know what I mean? We're not, see, people, if you're Juggalos out there listening to me right now, don't think that's disrespectful that I don't know what a Juggalo was in 2004. I literally come from Silicon Valley, where computers are made. There's a bunch of dorks, you know what I'm saying, in my city. They listen to whatever's on the radio. There wasn't a huge Juggalo fan base here. Of course, there's Juggalos in San Jose, but there isn't 500 of them. You know what I mean? There isn't even 500, and there's 1 million people in my city. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, of course, I didn't know what that was. Of course, you know what I mean? So, the next part of this story, about 2 weeks later, it just so happens, 2 weeks later, standing in front of the cell phone place, trying to get me a throwaway cell phone, something that's not in my name. I'm standing in front of it, waiting for my little thing to go through, and this chick pulls up with a pink mohawk in a CRX, and across the top of her window, it says Juggalette. And this is literally like a week or two after that. I never heard the word in my life. But, you know, just like anything, as soon as you see something or be aware of something, you start noticing it all the time.
Yeah.
So I asked this punk rock chick, she looked like a punk rocker to me. I said, what is Juggalette mean? And you know what she said? She said, if you don't know what it means, you don't need to know. And I was like, ooh, I like that. I looked at her and I'm like, okay, I like that. I'll look it up. Okay. So I immediately went home. I think I got on the computer and looked it up. And was like, oh, ICP fans. That's weird. That dude pounded my fist. I guess I don't see the resemblance to my music in that, but I guess my stuff is dark. You know, like my imagery is dark. At the time, you know, I just wore contacts, and you know, I do my signature Fu Manchu goatee and the spike and the bald head. So like, to me, that doesn't really look like ICP type stuff. But I was like, okay, I get it now. Okay, cool. So that's what they are. It's a ICP fan, you know. And
yeah,
and
you know. Oh, I'm sorry.
That was my first introduction to a Juggalo. That was the very first time.
That's a great story, and actually, it seems like a lot of people that's sort of where they start out at. And one of the things I've noticed that's very cool about being a Juggalo or being that whole scene is that they are very quickly made aware of other artists through that scene. If you're into Psychopathic Records, all of a sudden you start discovering all these other great artists, and I know that's how a lot of people have discovered people like Tech and Cottonmouth Kings and now Kung Fu Vampire. It just seems like a really cool scene for music.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the thing is that, like, they'll either embrace you or not. You're either dope or you're not to them. And for me, I think not only did it fit, but I was so, I was like a broken-hearted artist at really, deep down inside, because as soon as I walked out in Buffalo, New York, the first night of that Twisted tour, to these people, and they just were moshing and into me like I was the greatest thing on earth, and they had done the research on me when they heard I was going to be on the tour. I was like, wow, this is like my long-lost love. You know what I mean? I love these people because they're showing me the respect and love that people from my own city didn't show me. My own friends didn't show me. People, I didn't know there was a group of people who would like my dark brand of wicked shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and, it's just so interesting. You mentioned the horrorcore thing, and I know that you don't, do you consider yourself horrorcore? Is that something that you label your music as?
No, not at all. I originally, I called it gothic hip-hop because we would always, the thing is, people would say, what is your band? What kind of music do you do? And I would say, well, it's symphonic, it's live, there's rapping, there's opera, I guess it's goth hop. And I coined the phrase goth hop, by the way, and there's other artists who call themselves that, even some known artists. But, yeah, I coined the phrase goth hop, gothic hip-hop, because that was the closest thing I could figure it out. But now I just tell people I'm a hip-hop artist, and I make hip-hop music. It doesn't need to be a sub-label, doesn't need to be a sub-genre, doesn't need to be death rap or goth hop or acid rap or trip hop. I make rap music, man. I make hip-hop. Sure, I have a live band, and I bring a lot more to the table than some other hip-hop artists, but that doesn't mean I'm better or less hip-hop. So I consider myself hip-hop music, man. Like, if you hear my new album, the styles on there do not reflect that of a horrorcore artist.
Okay, yeah, and I like that. I like just breaking it down to it's just rap music. I think people get too caught up in labels. Now, in your case, you said goth hop. I noticed that was something that you did call your music, and you've been talking about dark hip hop. It seems like there's been a lot of negative press for darker hip hop over the years, but in the last 5 or 6, it just seems to have really stacked up. Do you find yourself having to defend the genre a lot?
Well, did you see any of the national news stuff that I was on? I was on a couple of the news pieces with my boy Mars.
Right,
and
yeah.
Just defending it. And the funny thing is the one clip they used of me, I kind of clowned the news, and the news had my back on it, so it was the shit. It was so dope. They were like, oh, well, we can't disagree with Kung Fu Vampire on that one. They said, they were just asking me questions about it. And I said, well, if horrorcore and basically it was horrorcore. Yeah, I said if horrorcore rappers are causing people to kill people, then the news is the godfather of horrorcore because you guys show murders and killing and every single thing detailed while people are eating dinner to families. You're showing that stuff. You're glorifying it more than anybody. So to say that some horrorcore rapper with a mask or a face painted that's doing some kind of themed project is the problem is ridiculous. It's the news who's showing it 50,000 times more than that, making people into negative stuff. So yeah, that's been really the only time, which was just good press for me. You know what I mean? But people who know me know I'm not a press whore. Everything I do, I just I'm on tours. You know what I mean? Which is the hardest way to get press, and it's the most, to me, the real way. So as far as defending the genre, I'll defend it on a one-to-one basis, but I never have problems. I know, this is kind of crazy, but 10 or 15 years ago, I'd once in a while get an email from a Christian person or something on MySpace or something, and they'd be like, yeah, your music is bad and evil, and you should be punished for what you're doing. I can't believe they even let your records on the shelf. I've gotten that 2 or 3 times my whole life, and I literally started busting up laughing. I was like, wow, people are paying attention to me. You know what I mean? That's all I thought when they did that. I was like, wow, that's pretty ignorant, but it's interesting that they're paying attention. So.
Yeah, it must have blown their minds to see someone like you.
Yeah, most definitely. And if people listen to my stuff, my music is dark. Lyrically, I'm not as dark as I am musically. Dark meaning for people who write music or are trained musicians, minor keys or diminished keys, you know what I'm saying? Dark music. My lyrics aren't always as dark as my music is. It's just what I like to do. It's what I love, horror movie inspired instrumentation.
And, speaking of everything that we've been talking about, I almost feel like there's no way I can talk to you and not mention Mars of Mad Insanity fame, who is one of the most respected and well-known West Coast underground MCs of the last few years, or of the last decade, really. I mean, he's been around for a while, actually. Working with someone like Mars pretty much means that you're in the right spot in the underground scene. What kind of things have you learned from working with him?
It's crazy. He's exact.
Are you still with us? Do we still have you with us? I don't know if you cut out or... Okay, well, I think Kung Fu is about to join us. Again, I think we might have lost him for a quick second. While we wait for him to join us again, actually, if you're just tuning in, you can reach us at 347-994-3066 and press 1 to talk to Kung Fu Vampire. If you've been listening, we've been talking about his career, his touring. He's on the Underground Rebels tour right now with Potluck, DGAF, and DRP, so we've been talking about that. We've been talking about horrorcore music, and hopefully we're going to talk about all of his relationships in the music industry, including that with Strange Music and Tech 9, and we'll see if he is going to get that collaboration we've been waiting for. And I think we have Kung Fu back on the line.
Yes.
Okay.
We're literally in the midst of the Underground Rebels tour, driving through the middle of nowhere on our way to Spokane, Washington.
Yeah, no, totally. It happened. But we got you.
You were asking about Mars, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I said, he was a fan of the genre. He started making music, almost 10 years after I did, and he made such a huge splash. And he's such a determined artist, such a unique guy. I mean, nobody has that kind of voice. His voice is crazy, and he's just such a hustler. You know what I mean? That's what I love about Mars. And he hustled when it came to me. He saw me on the very first tour I did. Him and Daniel Jordan hopped on this Esham tour, or him and somebody else hopped on this Esham tour with me back in '09, and him and his homeboy J Riz basically said, "Hey, bro, we'd love to work with you." You know what I mean? And he was the first person that actually really stepped up to the plate and said, "We want to work with you. We like what you do. The genre would love you. It's what is missing." He would kept saying, "This genre is missing Kung Fu Vampire."
Oh, that's really cool to hear, actually. And obviously, yeah, everyone knows Mars. They know him as a hustler. I mean, this guy's he's a real businessman, and he really knows how to make it all happen. Not only on that scene, but I mean on so many different levels. So shout out to Mars and Mad Insanity, of course.
Yeah.
On that note, we do have some callers here waiting for you, so I do want to get to them. Please call us at 347-994-3066 and press 1 to talk to Kung Fu Vampire. Again, I'll ask that you be considerate with our time as we're trying to get to everyone, but let's hit up the callers and see what they have to say. Let's go to Renee out in California.
Hello?
Hello?
Kung Fu? I was just wondering, for touring, what collabs are you most excited about doing in the future? Like, who are you wanting to collab with in the future?
Like as far as tours or music, making music?
Well, making music. Yeah.
Well, Tech 9 and I have been talking about a collab for a long time. He actually approached me on his bus about it, and he actually approached me in such a weird way. He basically said, "Damn, sorry for not have already doing a collab with you. It's overdue." So a collab with him would be great. I just collabed with Twisted Insane on my record and on his record while we were in Phoenix. Who I really want to work with, man? I want to work with some old school funk bands. I want to work with the dudes from the Gap Band and Earth, Wind and Fire and Ohio Players. You know what I mean? Some of these 80s and 70s funk bands. I know that sounds a little not the answer some people are looking for. They want to hear, "Oh, I want to work with this guy, that guy," but that kind of stuff to me is just more interesting to do.
Yeah.
I'm not a competitive person, and rapping on a song with other people, it makes it have a collaborative sound, as opposed to, what if I get the Ohio Players to do this music for me and sing the chorus and I'm doing the raps? You know what I mean? That is what I want to do, stuff like that. I love Chris Calico. I love Stevie Stone. Brother Lynch my homie. Obviously, we're both West Coast. He's the homie. Him and I are definitely going to collab soon. I'm trying to think. You know who would be dope, man? Cypress Hill and Ice Cube. Those would be the two really good collabs for me, especially since Ice Cube is one of my few hip-hop influences. When he came out with America's Most Wanted, I loved it. I was just like, this is so dope, energetic. He was so mean. He's just, man, those two guys. Yeah, man, Ice Cube and Cypress Hill, the whole Strange Music camp, we're all fam. It's just a matter of finding time when one of us isn't on the road to actually get a collab in, you know?
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, cool. Thanks, Renee. Out in California. Thank you for your question. Josh out in Washington.
Hello?
What up, Josh?
Hey, I was just wondering, what inspired you to start doing music, or who inspired you?
That's a great question, bro. So I started actually. This is gonna be pretty funny. When I was 13 years old, might have even been 12, I used to walk by these dudes' house who had a half pipe. I was a skateboarder, right? They had a big ass half pipe in their backyard, and they were all probably all 17, 18. And I would always come over there and be like, let me ride your half pipe. You know, and I was a little kid. I'm kind of a little dude, you know what I mean? So I was even littler. They were just like, oh, who's this little kid? And I'd go over there and shred on their half pipe. And they were a punk rock band. They were doing serious punk rock. They were like a Misfits type band. You know Misfits?
Oh, Josh, you with us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were doing punk rock. So I would always try and, like, pick up their instruments and play. And I was like, screw this, man. I want to learn. So I got a bass. I ended up joining the school band on bass. I didn't really like bass too much. I ended up playing drums. I really like drums. Well, the teacher wouldn't let me play hip-hop or rock beats. I would always try to come off the beat and they'd get mad. So when ninth grade come around, I was playing drums, and my teacher was a royal bitch, man. Everyone hated this chick. She was a bitch. She was hella tall, hella ugly, just mean, you know what I mean? And one time she stopped the whole band, like, 40 people in a band, jazz band. And she said, you are not playing the right beat. She tried to embarrass me. I was a little hothead, you know?
Yeah.
I threw the drumsticks at her face from across the room over the whole band. She ducked, and one still hit her, and one hit the chalkboard. And she's all, you're suspended. You need to leave now. And I walked out, and I said, are we allowed to swear on this thing?
Yeah.
I walked out of the class in front of 40 people as a 14-year-old freshman. I said, fuck you, I'm starting my own group. And I walked out of the class, and I got suspended. I started a hip-hop group with my friends, man. So, so that's how the live instrumentation happened early, is that I was like, we're going to start this hip-hop thing, but we're going to have live instruments. You know what I mean? And that was it, man. That was it right there, bro. The early Ghetto Boys, the Ice Cube, the Kool Moe D's, the first hip-hop shit, the Run DMCs, the Beastie Boys, mixed with that dark electronica kind of metal shit. And I wanted to bring that element to hip-hop, man. And that's what started the Kung Fu Vampire vibe. You know what I mean? And
you've been doing it ever since then?
I have not taken a day off since then.
Oh, wow.
Now, part of the reason why, like, I've been putting out records since then, and it's only been every few years that I put out an album. So I have 8 projects from 1991 until now, which, by the way, lets everybody know my age. I just realized that, but I don't care. So 91 until now, I put a project out every few years. But in the mid-2000s, I fought a federal case. Okay, I had a federal case put against me and fought it, and that took a long time. And then I had an injury, and then some other things. So I lost a few years right before I put Dead Sexy out to personal stuff. And so that's why I haven't had more records in the recent years.
Okay, Josh out in Washington, man, thanks for that question. Great question. Kung Fu, man, you're allowed to say whatever you want on this podcast, so just for future reference.
Nice.
Totally, man. We're going to be dropping F-bombs all day. Let's go with Melissa from Springfield.
Hi.
Hey, what's up, Melissa?
Nothing. Have you ever thought about being a juggalo, like, after you found out what it meant?
Well, let me put it to you this way. When I found out what it meant, is around the same exact time that people on MySpace, remember this is 2005, right, started adding me. And I started, I wasn't selling a lot of records. So I would get these online orders, right? And I'd be like, why is everybody in Ohio and Pittsburgh and Michigan and Kentucky buying my CD? I'm a California kid. I don't even have national, you know what I'm saying? I don't have a national name. And when I would look at who bought it, you could look at their name when they order a CD, right? Mm-hmm. I would go on MySpace and type in their name, and it'd be somebody with a painted face. And I started seeing everyone that was adding me on MySpace with a painted face. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. You know what I mean? These people are cool as hell. They like my dark shit. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. So a few years went by. Like I said, that was right when I had what I just said with the last caller. I don't know if you were listening, but that's when I had fought a real major multi-felony federal case, and I had some personal life issues. So that kind of thing wasn't in my mind at the time, becoming something or being a part of anything. I was just trying to survive and pay rent and pay my mortgage and get through this federal case. I was dealing with real issues. Then, once I actually started touring and when Twisted invited me out and I walked out and actually met them, I literally fell in love. You know what I'm saying? Wow, these are my soulmates. So, to say that I would want to become one, I don't even know what that means. I think it's just a vibe. If you love a juggalo, you are a juggalo. You know what I mean? People always say, Tech Nine's not a juggalo, Tech's a juggalo, Tech's not a juggalo. Look, his fan base started with juggalos. We know that. He loves juggalos. He paints his face. Tech Nine's a juggalo. He doesn't have to put it on his arm. I mean, it's not like you sign a waiver. You know what I mean? It's not a gang. You don't sign a waiver. It's just people who think their family is first. And Tech Nine, myself, I think family is first. So the whole basis behind what a juggalo is, it only makes sense to be a juggalo. Now, some people don't want to associate with that. Me personally, I don't want to have a branding. I don't want to be branded with he's this, he's that. Because really, I'm just an undead human being. You know what I mean? I'm just a hip-hop artist. I'm Kung Fu Vampire. And juggalos are, so far, I'm going to be real with you, they've showed me the most love. They've showed me more love. They're my favorite people. I'm excited to meet them. They come from all walks of life. I love it. You know what I mean? So yeah. I am better than being a juggalo. I'm a juggalo's ally. I'm an ally to a juggalo. I'm somebody who can say, yeah, I'll defend juggalos to the bitter end, and I don't even have to be one to defend them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's deep to me. I think it's deep, and I feel like you can't just become one. I think you got to really live it, be about it, know about it. It's more than ICP. It's more than that. It's about family, and I see that, and I love that. And so, that's why I roll with the Hatchet Man, the Juggalos. That's why I love the Juggalos, man. And hopefully they love me back because the family vibe is real, and my heart really goes out to them. I like them. You know what I mean? Are we still on?
Yeah. I'm okay, there you go. Muda45, you with us?
Yeah, I'm there, man. I'm here, however you want to say it. Sorry, I was puffing a bowl, dude.
Nice. Well, we got that. We got that earwax. We got that earwax on this tour, bro.
Yeah, I just finished dabbing before I packed this bowl, man. I got my Zob right here.
Man, that's
that power butane.
A little bit goes a long way, baby.
Man, I tell you what, I went from an eighth a day to a gram a week. If that ain't telling you something, I don't know. You mean get on the bus or stay where the fuck you're at. It's up to you. But, I like to move with the times.
No doubt. It's more powerful. I think it's a cleaner high. You know what I mean?
It's definitely cleaner for your body, too. The only thing that sucks about the wax, man, I'm going to be honest with you, is that they're getting so much better at masking the flavor of the butane, you can't tell when you're getting butane or CO2 anymore. And that butane, let's make no qualms about it, the shit's bad for you. But if you're getting pure earwax and it's made with CO2, then God bless whoever's giving it to you, because that is the shit, dude.
No doubt, man. We just smoked some out of the apple.
Here, where I stay here in SoCal, there's so much good kush
the flavor on this earwax is incredible. And I know that's kind of off the subject as to why I was calling in. First of all, I want to give a shout-out to Tech for doing his thing, man, and to you as well. You know, I grew up kind of the same way you did. I grew up listening to Christian Death, Skinny Puppy, Nine Inch Nails, and NWA, you know, and Cypress Hill. And I would say as far as the darkness goes, let's give props where they're due. I mean, How I Could Just Kill a Man by Cypress Hill was about the darkest shit that ever hit the radio when it came out. And it blew my mind to even hear it on the radio. I was like, what's going on? It was like a revolution. You know, and that's right about the same time as the Beastie Boys came out with the Fifth Ward. And I've had the pleasure of kicking it with Bushwick, too, and he's a real cool dude, man. For being such an angry little guy, he can be real cool, you know.
Yeah, man, he's a weirdo, bro. He's a weirdo. I love him.
Absolutely.
I'm just still tripping you said Skinny Puppy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Dope. I mean, I grew up the same damn way. You know, I grew up on the southern coast of California, in the Orange County area. I live out here in Indio now, and it's predominantly Hispanic here. And you know, the music scene has always been, you know, Hispanic rappers or what's on the radio, and for me, that's just never worked ever. Obviously, if I was a Skinny Puppy fan, you know that.
Right.
One of the reasons I called in and wanted to ask you personally, do you feel like, I mean, it's almost mainstream to be underground with the kids now. You know, it's like if you're on the radio, they don't want to bang it. You know, and it's kind of like that whole underground movement has become more of a mainstream movement than it ever has been. And personally, I find it refreshing, even though it means that a lot of you guys are going to get some radio play. I mean, fuck, what are you in the business for if you don't want to be on the radio? You know what I mean?
Right.
And buy your albums, you know, why are you putting them out? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then I see guys like you that come out and do your thing. I perform a little bit, and I always get down with a live band. And to me, you know, that's music. And I think it's a shame that there even has to be genres. Let's call it what it is. It's an expression. It's an art form. You know, and you don't. I don't think that you fit into any genre that's out there. I don't think that Tech fits into any genre that's out there. I don't think Chris fits into any genre that's out there. I think definitely that ICP had created their own genre, and I think you said it best. I mean, there is no becoming a juggalo. Either you're born a juggalo or you're not. That's it.
Right.
You know, and in my opinion, if guys like you don't keep doing what you're doing, then we're all going to be forced to listen to all this Pro Tunes bullshit, and I'm sick of it. You know, I think that music has such a better feel and such a better vibe when there's live instruments in play. You know, and I think that also adds to a performance. If you're up there and you got a bunch of synthetic beats behind you, and I just don't think it's the same thing. You know?
Yeah, look at the way Tech and them get down. They got singers, they dance, they sing. Their backing music is a lot of live instruments. You know what I mean? It's got an orchestral feel to it, and they don't even have to have a live band when they still implement that live sound, which is dope.
All right, and I got to give a big shout out to Mundo. I was just about to say he was making a lot of great points in that. Very, very great caller right there. Very cool point.
Yes.
I love hearing callers like that, so it was definitely very cool. Big shout out to you, man. Chelsea out in Springfield, we're going to keep it moving with you and see what you have to say.
I just wanted to say that you're fucking amazing, and I love you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Where are you from? There's a few Springfields. Which Springfield are you from?
Springfield, Illinois.
Are you coming to any of the shows on this tour?
Yeah.
Which one are you coming to?
I'm not fucking sure, but I'm definitely coming.
Yeah, where are we doing in Illinois, boys? We doing Chicago? Yeah, we're doing it. Just if you can, go to potluckmusic.com or kungfuvampire.com, and you can see the dates there. We're playing in Illinois. You got to come out and hang out with us, especially with that kind of love behind you.
For sure.
All right, big shout out to Chelsea. I don't know if she was busy participating in other activities at the moment or not, but she showed a lot of love. She showed a lot of love, man.
Yeah. Chelsea, you sounded really stoned, by the way.
Yeah, she did. Chelsea, actually, if you're still listening, go to potluckmusic.com and look up the dates. Actually, they are headed to Chicago Ridge, Illinois, Bobby McGee's June 17th, so make sure to hit that up if you can.
Yeah.
All right. Now, for everyone who's been listening, if you were trying to get through, you can still call us at 347-994-3066 and press 1 to talk to Kung Fu Vampire. We've been talking about, man, just about everything, your career, working with all these different people, the touring, and I feel like I got to ask you about your relationship with Strange Music, because I know you've opened shows, and I know you're on good terms with Tech, and you did mention the collaboration and everything. Tell me about your connection to Strange and how that's developed over the years.
Well, again, this story is kind of, I was brought into this genre kind of in one small way through him. It's a trip. I'm going to tell this story because I know you guys are enjoying these stories, man. So I had a friend who had a drug problem, and I used to go by and just visit him and make sure he was doing okay, whatever. And then he had been bumping Tech 9, and I don't know if I walked in on the wrong song or something. I think I was kicking it with the wrong song. I didn't pay as much attention to it as I would have if it was the right song. Right. Then, just shortly after that, I was visiting another homie, and as I was leaving, he goes, "Bro, have you ever heard of Tech 9?" I go, "Yeah, I just heard of him like recently." And he goes, "Man, let me give you this CD I burnt." He goes, "He reminds me of you, man, with that rapid fire stuff. He's super sick, though. He's super sick. You got to check him out. He's crazy." I was like, okay, he gave me the disc. At the time, I was in the middle of moving, and so I was putting all my discs into the computer and putting them into my iTunes, right? So I have a full library. So I put it in. I played the first song, and I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. It was okay. You know what I mean? I didn't really give it that full listen. It was Absolute Power. It was that song, Absolute Power.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that's cool. It was kind of not what I was expecting from someone who was telling me it was like my music, because it wasn't. That song wasn't at all like what I do, you know? So I was like, okay. I put it in my iTunes anyways. So I'm moving. I'm getting my bookshelf put together downstairs in my house, and the song T9 Experience comes on, right? Mind you, I'm alone in this 2-story house bumping. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I fucking go running up the stairs, the spiral stairs. I'm all, this is the shit. I'm like, I look at the thing and it said Tech 9, and I was like, what the fuck? Because for the serious Kung Fu fans, if you listen to my old LSP records, I have songs with the voice pitch bend, like this is the Tech 9. I have songs like that from the 90s, like same time period or earlier than his Absolute Power record. I have songs like that. So, and I never heard people do that. I thought it was so dope, and like, I didn't necessarily master that, you know what I mean? I did a couple songs. It sounded cool. They weren't great songs of mine, but when I heard his, I was blown away. So that was my first introduction. Then I started listening to him, and I took my boy to a concert, probably 200 people in San Francisco at the Independent. This was probably like, I want to say 06, 07, somewhere around there. Well, I went to his concert, checked it out. You know, it was great, whatever. Just went and enjoyed it, you know what I mean? After that, I just kind of listened to his music, never really tripped on it. So this is where the story gets good. There's a guy by the name of San Jose Dave, an old friend of mine I had known from the 90s. My record release party for Dead Sexy was at the Voodoo Lounge in downtown San Jose, okay? My hometown, $20 tickets, sold out, 400 people. At that time, I was painting my face and head all white. For those who've seen some pictures of me, there's been different eras. I was all white, the white contacts, the crazy rings. I wore the white emperor's gown, like the Asian gown. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm on stage with the full band, 10 pieces. And San Jose Dave walks by, looks inside, and asks the people out front, who is this motherfucker? And they were like, it's Kung Fu Vampire. He's like, oh shit, this dude is sick. This is from him, telling me this is how it happened. So he's like, this dude is super sick, man. I got to meet him. I come walking out the club. Sure enough, he didn't realize I was the guy that he already knew from back in the 90s, okay? Because this is 2008, Halloween night 2008. He goes, man. He goes, you're so sick, bro. He's like, I got to get you signed to Strange. I got to talk to Strange. My boy Tech and Trav, I got to talk to them. So for people who don't know, San Jose Dave is an old-time friend of Trav and Tech. He was the first person to ever bring Tech 9 out to San Jose and maybe even the West Coast. He was the one who drove Tech's Astro van with the, I don't know if it was Celsius record or Angelic but it was rap. You know, the first Tech band, Tech would come out and play to 10 people his first show. His second show was like 40 people in San Jose. Well, San Jose Dave, friend of mine, friend of Tech's, right then and there called Travis at 2 in the morning. Called him and was like, hey, I'm chilling with this guy, Kung Fu Vampire. He's so sick, blah, blah, blah. I need to hook you guys up. And from there, the story just gets crazy. We ended up talking to Trav, and, you know, Trav had his opinion about me. And, of course, Kung Fu Vampire is not as easy to digest as some people. You know what I mean? This full band with this painted guy and this crazy name. And so Trav said, you know, basically they passed the CD around to everybody in the office, and everyone in the office, from what I hear, liked it, bumped it, their girlfriends liked it, and we all became friends over the years of me just hanging out with them at the concerts, hanging with Tech, and just knowing of each other through the industry. So my relationship with them is deep. It just runs super deep. Since then, I've opened up shows with them, kicked it with them on the bus. We shot a video together recently about, 8 weeks ago with our boys E40 and Brotha Lynch. And, you know, I've never really, people don't know this, but I've never really tried to get signed to Strange Music. It's been other people who've been, like, bringing me to them, whether it's Dave Weiner, Violet Brown, San Jose Dave. Certain people have brought me to them. My interest has always, you know, been to work with them because I make strange music. That's what I make. You know what I mean? Like, I literally make strange music. So it's more of a fit than people realize, you know what I mean? And at the time, they had less artists. So for me to fit in with Tech and Chris is just, it's obvious. I do fit. There's some people who totally disagree, but I guarantee you I make the strangest music in the world, you know? So it's like, it only works. And to present day, you know, we got to do some collabs. You know, I'm friends with everybody on that label. I love Mayday. I love all these dudes. I love Seth's crew, Cut Calhoun, Chris Calico, everybody, man. I just love and respect the label.
Man, that's really awesome to hear. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that you don't make, you know, that other strange music, as you would say. Definitely very cool to hear that. I think a lot of the fans will take away from that story and really know where it is that you're coming from. As we wind down in the last 2 minutes, though, I really do want to ask you this because I think the fans would like an update, and that is your next album, I believe, Love Bites, correct?
Love Bites, yes.
What is the status of this album?
You know, I was going to put it out in August, and then I ended up being on this long tour and realizing that The Gathering and ICP's new record and all kinds of stuff, and I'm just a major perfectionist. October is looking like the date. You know, Tech 9, if you're listening, I need that verse from you, bro. You got the beat. It's pure fire. I gave him some fire. My boy Alec, Smart Alec out of Kansas City, actually produced it for me, produced a few tracks on my record. This record is crazy. This record has Latin-influenced music. It has classic hip-hop, West Coast, gangster, horrorcore. Anything I feel like doing is on there, man. There's straight funk. You know, there's chopper shit. There's slow shit. It's all over the place. I've got some amazing collabos on there. Brotha J from X-Clan. For those of you who don't know who he is, Brotha J was on that song Black Boy with Ice Cube and Tech 9. I've got my boy Mars on there, Liquid Assassin, E40. Me and Lynch need to do a track for it, but I'm waiting on the Tech track, a couple other things, and it'll be done and out in October. So that's the plan. Love Bites, Kung Fu Vampire, this October. It's the first album in 4 years. 3 years for the public, but for me it's been 4 years since I put out Dead Sexy.
Oh, man, that's really great news, and I'm really excited. As I'm sure a lot of the fans are excited too to hear that.
I just can't wait to put it in people's ears, man.
Oh, absolutely, especially if all those collaborations, you know, line up just the way you want them. I do want to say though, man, first of all, congratulations on all your success, especially with all the touring and everything. I know you're a very hardworking artist, and it's just great to see someone who is so hardworking get all that success. And I do want to say thank you for joining us today. It's been awesome, and all these stories are just, you know, you don't get these stories every day, so.
No doubt, man. Love strange music, love what you guys do. Appreciate your time and appreciate the notoriety from the whole label.
Absolutely, and we hope to have you on again. To all our listeners, please keep up with Kung Fu Vampire at kungfuvampire.com. And as always, on behalf of Strange Music and Kung Fu Vampire, I remind you all to keep it strange.
Strange Music.